All right, some news from the superhero games thingy. Apparently, Warner Brothers Montreal is working on a new live service DC title. As per job post, oversee all phase of development from concept to post-launch live operations. Now, many of you who may or may not know, the VG Fight School channel got its notoriety in the Gotham Knights days. Yes, just as I vehemently argue about the video game industry, I was busy arguing about Gotham Knights when the game launched because a lot of people misunderstood this game. In fact, we had some reviewers who notoriously misrepresented the game. Their criticisms were from a perspective of, we just don't want to play this game. And I can understand if you don't like certain things about the game, but man, sometimes it was straight up lies. That's just, I have the videos to prove it. You know me, whenever I do stuff like this, I'll throw my receipts down, which I have here on Twitter, and I have even videos on YouTube. So seeing Warner Brothers Montreal now and this whole story, let me see if I can put a few things in context. Warner Brothers Montreal actually has been a support studio under Warner Brothers for many years. Gotham Knights was their first independent from scratch game that they made. They did develop Arkham Origins, I know, but Arkham Origins was developed from files that Rocksteady gave them. Ben Mattis, who was a studio director, I think, at the time, is cited in a video actually saying that they reached out to Rocksteady when they were, commissioned to make Arkham Origins, and they asked and said, hey, man, are you going to help us? And Rocksteady was like, well, we're on the other side of the ocean, and so don't bother us. Here you go. We're going to give you all the Arkham City files. Another combat designer from Warner Brothers Montreal was also on another podcast, and that's when he shed even better light to it and said they actually gave them a branch from the repo of Arkham City. So if you play Batman Arkham Origins, you'll realize that's where a lot of that similarity comes from. And Warner Brothers Montreal did their best. They put together that game as a filler for Arkham Knight to get its full development in play. That's how they kind of made their, notoriety. However, they've been working on a lot of projects. They work on a lot of projects under Warner Brothers. Mortal Kombat. I think they were helping work on Wonder Woman before that got canceled, and so on and so forth. So seeing them here, it might be that they're actually working on a live service game to kind of kick off and finish off what Gotham Knights was supposed to be. There's a conversation that Gotham Knights was supposed to be live service, but they eventually stopped and changed the game. I've always said that this game has that The Division-esque feel to it. The Division is a live service game, but it's a game that has at least 26 hours or more of single player content if you want to play the game yourself, and then much more of online, whether multiplayer, whether PvP, whether co-op or whatever. And you can do all of those activities as well in a community. I think they wanted to follow that, paradigm and methodology, but a game like that takes a lot of years to make. And when we've heard a lot of stories from, the studio, it seems like they had a lot of issues kicking off their own game from the ground. So I think Gotham Knights probably had that 5-year development cycle, but before the game got greenlit, a lot of games had probably already been, in a sense, pushed back to pre-production, or at least a lot of concepts, judging from what a lot of developers have said, both contractors and stuff. In fact, when I was covering and making videos for the game before launch, there were a lot of developers who were commenting on the channel, who were saying, hey, man, I worked on this game. This is what we saw. I mean, they weren't saying anything salacious. They just talked about their own area of expertise in terms of some of the things they did. I think on record, 2 developers left comments on this channel on those videos. So it was actually pretty cool to see. And I went to verify their LinkedIn, and I was like, yeah, these guys are actually, except somebody forged their accounts. So now I just looked at this post, and somebody said it could be that they're helping work on the Hogwarts MMO. It seems like Warner Brothers wants to actually get their hands into that particular package. And so that might make a little bit of sense in this particular regard. Like, okay, Hogwarts Legacy was very successful. They want to capitalize on that. But one thing about live service games is it's got to hit. When you're going to launch a game like this, you got to be ready with content that's going to keep people. If you miss and you don't have your content planned out, you're really going to be in a world of hurt. Look at Mortal Kombat 1. The DLC came out. It was very expensive. That's one of the biggest challenges, the game faced. I was able to get I think I got the deluxe edition or whatever. but I got like a little credit or so. So I only paid $30 for the base game. And I did not pay full price for the DLC. I was like, man, get out of here. It wasn't until the DLC went on sale that I went ahead and got it. And I think NetherRealms, they probably overplayed their hand with this Mortal Kombat game in terms of pricing. They kind of benefited from the 2020 issues in terms of COVID and all, with Mortal Kombat 11 selling at 15 million units. And then they pulled out. They didn't support the game any further. They didn't finish the crossplay and all that. And then when Mortal Kombat 1 came out, it felt like it was just rushed. There were modes and stuff that weren't complete at the onset of the game. So they harmed their own game in that regard. But with Warner Brothers Montreal, my own money on them actually making and completing a project, I say they can do it. The challenge they have is their publisher, Warner Brothers. Because Gotham Knights, as much as you want to criticize it, the game actually finished. It actually launched. They never really did go the way of some other studios where a game stays in, some development, spiral down the drain. They were able to complete their game and finish it. Until today, you can still play the game. You can even play co-op with people, and even in their Heroic Assault that they put out there, which was extended content at the end of the day. So I'm thinking to myself, if Warner Brothers can actually pair up a Hogwarts MMO, listen to me, a Hogwarts MMO with Hogwarts Legacy 2, I think they can find more success in that regard, because Hogwarts Legacy 2 as a sequel might be able to garner a similar, if not maybe more, players that played the first Hogwarts Legacy and Hogwarts and Harry Potter fans across the board, and this is their entry. I always wondered why they never shipped the first Hogwarts Legacy game with Quidditch, at least as a co-op type deal. I think that would have really resonated as a back end, side of things, because in my opinion, what I've seen with a lot of, live service games that do well, not all of them, but a lot of live service games that would do well, they usually have a core, lore, story, fan base, and then they build upon the multiplayer. They build a multiplayer based on that lore and those themes. That's usually what you'll see. Think Destiny, think The Division, think some of these games, GTA. I mean, GTA Online is more like, Renegade Sandbox and whatever. But these games have, a single player aspect to them. Now, it's not always the case. And in some cases, some games just straight up don't have that single player element, and they do very well. But I think because of the nature of a game like Hogwarts and all of that, it will benefit from that lore aspect. They'll benefit from the side of, okay, what game, are you playing? You're playing a Harry Potter game, so you don't want just a cheap MMO that's just there to fill some box or whatever it is. You actually want that quality to reflect, in your game in terms of when you're bringing it. So it's, okay, guys, come play this Hogwarts Legacy MMO with us. Okay, what's this Hogwarts Legacy MMO about? And then, people are aware, people know what it is, in their own minds. They're like, okay, we're playing another Hogwarts game, and this MMO is an extension of the Hogwarts game that we're playing. I think this is the way that they can make it. But again, Warner Brothers, they're not patient. They want to strike gold or nothing. So I'm going to leave it to them to figure it out themselves, because I've not, seen a lot of confidence from them at the end of the day, but it is what it is. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section if this is something that even concerns you, if you play Warner Brothers launch games or not. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.